And now, from Candlestick Point in San Francisco, California, it's the Stick 49er Podcast Show with your hosts, Lucas McLaughlin and Lucas Ortiz. This is a Lucas and Lucas production. This podcast is brought to you in part by Super Tenna. Get yours today. This is an unofficial 49ers podcast and is in no way directly affiliated with the San Francisco 49ers team nor the National Football League.
Well, Niner fans, we're moving on up in the standings.
Well, we're moving on up to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
The Niners go to Foxborough and handle their business. The final score, the 49ers 33, the Patriots 6. Belichick's biggest loss ever, and watching Cam Newton was embarrassing. The first drive of the game, Garoppolo engineers a 9-play, 75-yard drive to cap it off with a 3-yard touchdown run by Jeff Wilson Jr., who had a huge day. I'm joined by my colleague, Lucas Ortiz now. Lucas, you there?
I'm here, Luke. How are you, man? Well, I know I'm doing good. I know we're doing good after that win. That was huge.
Yeah, man. I've been sleeping well since then.
Yeah, being able to go back east and do that to a Bill Belichick team was not something I quite expected. I was hoping they were going to at least show well, keep it close, maybe sneak out a win in the end, but that went way beyond my expectations for how we normally play a New England team.
Definitely.
That was just a butt kicking.
Yeah, and it all started with Coach Kyle Shanahan's ability to really put some confidence into Jimmy Garoppolo, who showed that he could push off of that bad ankle, which it seems to be getting much better. You notice some of those throws all the way across the field to Kittle, and they actually, even after the bad pick, he had the one really bad pick, they still had the confidence to keep that passing game going and balance it with that strong running game, which we'll get into. But I just really like seeing Shanahan put his confidence in our quarterback to get it done. And Jimmy G really got into a rhythm, didn't he, Lucas?
Oh, yeah, he got in a rhythm. And let's be fair. Let's give him 1.5 interceptions. I think the last one right before the end of the half was more of a Hail Mary, nothing to lose. Might as well just put it up there and see if the rookie can make a catch.
Kind of a 3 flies up there.
Right, unfortunately.
Remember that game?
Yeah, unfortunately the Patriots had a deep safety back there and were able to pick it up. But other than that overthrow of Kittle, he was very accurate. You know, if you can nitpick here and there on throws that weren't perfect but were complete. And I think all in all, despite not having any touchdown passes, he had a pretty solid game. And I think he graded out pretty well. If you look at things like PFF and QBR, like he did solidly in those metrics for how quarterbacks are rated. So I give him an A. I think he played his butt off. He's had 2 back-to-back solid games, and that momentum is hopefully going to carry on to the next game against the Seahawks.
Definitely. Jimmy finishes with 20 of 25 for 277 total passing yards.
Nice.
And he had those 2 picks. But it was really nice to see him still go deep to Brandon Ayuk, who had a huge game, 6 catches, 115 yards, averaged 19.2 yards per catch. But that was a great pass. And, it could have been a little off the sideline, which might have been 6. But, you can't say that now. I mean, it was a beautiful throw. He kept it away from the defense. It was sort of a pick play. But, man, Ayuk had a great game. It was great to see him open in that beautiful over-the-shoulder catch like that. And Jimmy just dropping it right in there.
Right. And let's not forget that big scramble on the first drive of the game. I thought that was huge. I think that set the tone.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a big yardage gainer, but it was a critical third down. And I think if we don't convert that, if he doesn't lower his shoulder and get those 3 or 4 yards to get that first down, I don't know, maybe the game doesn't turn out the way it did. And, we're looking at a losing record, but he found a way. He got that third down, and it was off and running from there.
Yes, that's exactly what you need.
That was huge.
He's obviously not feeling that ankle to be able to just see that little hole and get that first down, that was huge.
It's almost like he's 100%, but still not quite there. Still doesn't have the same kind of speed that he had when he first got to the team, but he's getting more and more confident every week on that ankle. And I think by the end of the season, hopefully, if we can keep him from getting sacked or hit, he's going to be 100% and scrambling and keeping plays alive.
Definitely. And Debo had a good game as well until that injury. 5 catches for 65 yards, but we all know that those were basically like running plays. I mean, they're using him almost as a running back, which is interesting because they have a good look when he does run the ball and he runs hard. And we have great running backs too. But man, when they flip it to Debo and he takes off, we really started to dominate the edge in this game. And it looked like the Patriots could do nothing on D. And so I really enjoyed watching Debo's little runs. Now he's going to be out this week, correct? He had that hamstring at the end of the game, which is too bad.
Shanahan had his press conference yesterday after the game, and he did say Debo's probably going to be out the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we have Seattle on Sunday, and then we have a quick turnaround with the Packers on Thursday night. So I don't think he's going to play in those 2 games, but depending on the severity of the hamstring, how badly it was pulled, we may see him in 3 weeks. So, just got to cross our fingers and hope to get Debo back on the field. And in the meantime, it's just got to be that oddly we just beat the Patriots, but we got to have the same mentality that they've had for the last 2 decades. And that's just next man up. If you're a backup player, if you're on the practice squad, you got to seize your opportunity and take advantage of it and keep the team rolling the way they have the last couple of weeks here.
One thing that we just barely touched on last week, I mean, when Shanahan gets a new hat and now we have 2 wins, we have to realize that there's some power there. And I've always been a little superstitious. I don't know about you, Lucas, but wow, man, what a sweet hat that's getting us those wins. Let's talk a little bit about the Shanahan.
Yeah, man. I mean, we completely buried the lead story on that, right? I mean, the Shanahan was huge. Man. He probably he was responsible for one of the worst losses against the Dolphins. And I think he was wearing this god-awful silver hat that got a lot of criticism on social media. Thank God he was able to switch hats, and we got that big win against the Rams, and now we got the big win against the Patriots in the same hat. I think he's going to have to wear that hat for the rest of the year. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to have to shower with it, sleep with it. I mean, until we get a loss.
Make sweet love to his wife with it.
Well, make sweet love to the hat.
Make sweet love to the hat, right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I actually tried to find that hat online because I wanted to buy it. Right now, it doesn't exist.
Do you know what year that's from? Is that like a 1989 hat or?
Yeah. It reminds me of the 1988, 89. I think it was a starter cap back in the day.
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure if that company still exists. Might have to do some more internet searching. Fire up the Google machine and see if I can find that hat again.
Definitely.
Because it is a sweet lid.
Definitely. And, we've shown our depth. There's been so many injuries, and especially in the ground game. Wow, Jeff Wilson Jr. looks solid, man. I mean, I thought that was Mostert at times, the way he was hitting those holes and really stiff-arming players. He had 112 yards, which is a career high, and 3 touchdowns, pulled the hat trick on the touchdowns. Man, he had a huge game, and luckily we've been able to bounce back. Whenever there's a guy that goes down, there's the next guy up. And I think, is Coleman possibly going to be back for this game, or do you know?
So rumor has it that he may be on the practice field tomorrow. We're recording this on a Tuesday, and usually the team has their first practice on Wednesday. Shanahan said that he may or may not play this week, depending on if he can get on the practice field and test out the injury and see how it feels after a day of practice. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think we have to rely on Tevin Coleman to come in and save the day. I really like Hasty. I think he's going to come in.
Yeah.
I was actually expecting Hasty to be the primary running back in this game. Much to our surprise, it was Wilson who was the star and got the majority of the carries until that injury on the 3rd touchdown. But look for Hasty to be the primary guy that gets most of the touches, is in on 1st and 2nd down, and then McKinnon will probably be the 3rd down back. It didn't really seem like Kyle wanted to put too much on his plate last game and give him more of a kind of a rest type game, even though he did play. This game, hopefully, he's going to be a little fresher and give Hasty the spell on most of the third down plays.
Yeah, and I really enjoy watching Jermichael Hasty run. He's got kind of a scrappiness that you like to see. He hits those holes. He's got those bursts of speed. He finishes with 9 carries for 57 yards, but he averaged 6.3 yards per carry, which is huge.
He does two good things. He hits the hole very fast, but he's got that juke to him. He's got that elusiveness to make the first guy miss. And then when he needs to lower his head down and drag a couple defenders to get those extra yards and finish, he can do that too. He's a very powerful runner for being somebody that's not that tall, not that big. But if you look at his lower half, he's got some size there. And I think he's going to be, like I said, he's going to be the bell cow the next game. He's going to get the majority of the carries, and I think he's going to have a real big impact on the game against Seattle. So I'm excited, man.
Sure.
Like, we have 5 good running backs on this team. I mean, not too many teams can say they had that kind of depth at any position, but we really do have 5 running backs that could start on a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's always one guy out, so it's not like we have to cut one of them. Which brings us to our next segment, a little help for those running backs, Down in the Trenches with Lucas Ortiz.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
You know, these running backs have done a great job, and it seems like we can put anyone back there and they're going to do a great job. And part of that is because our O-line, the last 2 games at least, have been really dominant. And let's get into that with Lucas Ortiz.
Yeah, buddy, let's talk about the big O-line. They had a game. So we criticized them heavily the first game and the 2 losses against the Eagles and the Dolphins. Now, you could say they had a pretty good game against the Giants and the Jets, but those are pretty lowly teams with a lot of players on their defensive line that probably wouldn't start on most teams.
True.
So I'm not going to praise them for the type of games that they had in those two wins. But coming into the Rams game and definitely coming into the Patriots game, it just seemed like they had a lot more fire underneath them. They were just coming off their blocks with just more aggression, more anger, more violence. And I just really love to see that. I really hope they carry that on for the rest of the season, because the last 2 games, Jimmy's only been sacked once, and he's been hurried probably 3 or 4 times, which is outstanding if you're an offensive line group.
Awesome.
I mean,
Got a clean jersey.
Yeah. They definitely turned it around after week 5, and I'm really happy to see guys like Brunskill, Ronis Grasu, who's the 3rd string center on our team. I mean, whoever thought
He looked great out there.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever thought we would be talking about Ronis Grasu in week 8 as our starting center and saying he had a superb game. I mean, that guy, he had an outstanding game, and I just want to sing his praises and let people know how hard it is to come into a Kyle Shanahan offense and play the position that's the hardest to learn in the NFL outside of a quarterback, and that's the center. You have to be smart. You have to know. You have to call the blocking formations. You have to know what every guy on the line of scrimmage is doing, and he really is the brain of the offensive line, so to speak. So for him to be on the practice squad most of the year and get called up a couple weeks ago as a primary backup and then now start is just outstanding. I mean, I really can't say enough about that guy. And all the other guys on the offensive line. I mean, Glynchy has now had 2 back-to-back really good games and improved his pass blocking. He seems a little more mobile now. He's keeping guys in front of him, and he's not allowing them to push him back as much as he used to. So I'm really happy with his resilience and able to pick it up after those initial crappy 5 games. In fact, like the last 2 games, I think our offensive line has been rated the highest pass blocking offensive line in the league after the first 5 games, which they were rated the worst pass blocking offensive line in the game in the league. So It's just it's funny how things flip flop like that.
Yeah, it's impressive. And you talked a lot about how they have to communicate, and you can tell the last 2 games, there's some serious communication going on. They're playing as a team and getting it done.
Getting it done, man. That's all it's all about. playing as one, knowing exactly when to come off a block and peel off to a linebacker or to a safety. It's something that takes sometimes a couple games to get the ball rolling and get that in sync response from the offensive line. And sometimes it takes 6 or 7 games. And it just, right now it's coming together for the offensive line. I think we gained over a couple hundred yards on the ground, and we just need to keep doing the same exact offense as Kyle has been dialing up. We need to run more than we pass, and when we pass, we need to keep it short and sweet and let those Yak brothers do their thing.
Yep. Hopefully we continue to dominate those trenches.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
Oh wait. Did I hear? I thought I heard that sound again, right before Pat's picks happens. Thought he was here, but no, maybe not. I guess, man, how the heck do we know when he's going to be here? Isn't that strange, Lucas?
Yeah, man, it's kind of like a divine intervention type deal. I don't know. Let me pour a drink, and I think I hear it.
Oh, there it is. He is here.
All right, Pat. Pat's gonna lay it on us. He had a really good week last week. Let's see if he can continue that.
2 for 3, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Another edition of Pat's Picks.
And now, from the bar in the big sky, yours truly here, Pat Summerall. I'm here to give you predictions every week here on the Lucas and Lucas The Stick podcast. Good afternoon, Lloyd.
Good afternoon, Mr. Summerall.
Well, it's great to see you. I don't know how I got home last night.
Glad you are okay. Rough night last night.
Well, unfortunately, I don't remember last night. I know you think I owe someone an apology, C2. But what I do know, Lloyd, is that I got 2 out of 3 picks correct, and it's time to celebrate.
What would you like to drink today?
That question's music to my ears, Lloyd. I'll have a double scotch on the rocks.
Scotch on the rocks and for the droid?
C4 says he'll have a white Russian.
Coming right up, Mr. Summerall.
Thank you, Lloyd. As I said, V3, I'm just glad we gave ourselves extra time to celebrate. This is fun.
Here you are, a double Scotch on the rocks. And a white Russian for the droid. Enjoy. Let me know if you all P3C3 or whatever his name is need anything else.
Thank you, Lloyd. V4 would like a couple of cups of Liar's Dice.
Yes, here are 2 cups of Liar's Dice.
Great. Thanks again, Lloyd.
Thanks, Pat.
What's the problem, C3? Well, I don't see how that's possible. You said all the clocks are not slow in the bar. Well, I will ask him. Lloyd, is that the correct time on the clock?
I am sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Summerall, but all of the clocks are slow here.
Oh no. That would mean we're on now with Lucas and Lucas. Oh no. Well then, let's not waste any more time. On with the picks. My first pick this week, the Vikings are at the Packers. Aaron Jones is hurting and Minnesota's returning from a bye. But Aaron Rodgers is sharper than Cousins. The Packers will win this one. The final score on that one, the Packers 31, the Vikings 27. In my second pick this week, the Colts are at the Lions. Detroit has won 2 straight, believe it or not. And Matthew Stafford is using his receivers. Look for the Colts to carry on with another win. You can't trust Phillip Rivers on the road. The final score on that one, the Lions 23, the Colts 20. And for my Pat's pick of the week, the Niners are going to Seattle. This should be quite a matchup. The Niners are coming off 2 big wins. Russell Wilson is tough to catch and has been on his game this year. Look for the Niners to overcome all the obstacles, even without Deebo Samuel, and get a win here. The final score, the 49ers 34, the Seahawks 27. And so ends another edition of Pat's Picks. I hope I get them all right again this time. I know I got 2 out of 3. Back to you, Lucas and Lucas. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Pat Summerall. At least he's starting to pick him a little better, huh, Lucas? 2 out of 3.
Yeah, man. Always entertaining. Always entertaining. Pat's picks. Can't go wrong.
Nice. All right, let's get back into this. So I would like to turn our attention to the defense. I mean, what a performance. I mean, first of all, we had our 2 starting safeties out. And you can't say enough about Travarius Moore, who came in. He hits people hard. He's fun to watch at safety.
Yeah, we're down to, I think, only 3 original starters from the beginning of the season. DJ Jones, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw, I think, are the only guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Dre Greenlaw and Eric Armstead. But Dre Greenlaw is not playing the original position that he started at the beginning of the year. He's, of course, is playing the weak side linebacker. And I think he was the strong side linebacker at the beginning of the season. So we're down 8 guys, and the defense has not missed a beat. I mean, guys that are, playing cornerback right now, Jason Barrett and Mosley, are probably playing better than most cornerbacks in the league. I mean, Barrett, if you look at his position, he's been rated very high. I think he's like the number 1 rated cornerback in the NFL right now in pass efficiency. And Mosley's up there too. Mosley had a nice interception with a good run back and set it up to get some more points at the end of the half, but it didn't happen. And overall, the defensive backfield has probably been our strength. We're not really getting to the quarterback. We're not getting a ton of sacks, but we're defending the pass really well right now.
Yeah. And, we made Cam Newton, I've never seen him look that bad. Maybe he was slightly injured. I'm not sure, but 9 of 15 passes for 98 yards and 3 picks and benched, and then the backup quarterback comes in and doesn't do much better. I mean, the stats at halftime alone, were embarrassing. The Niners had 300 total yards plus, and the Patriots had 59 total yards. I mean, that tells the story right there. And there wasn't a lot of adjustments because things basically looked the same in the second half as far as the Patriots offense went. And the Niners defense just continued to thrive. And, man, how about those picks, man? Mosley's pick was really impressive to me. I love that he looked back at the ball and had that kind of catch-up speed to the ball, almost like a Deion Sanders-esque, like grab that thing over his shoulder. That was a beautiful pick. And then
what about the Warner pick? The Warner pick was even greater.
Was incredible too. Just shoestring grab before that ball hit the ground, and he definitely secured that in the replay. You could tell, man. I mean, just so fun to watch our defense play the way they have the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that Warner pick. I mean, there's a lot of wide receivers that can't even make that grab. So for him to pick it off the ground, I mean, to the naked eye, it looked like it touched the ground, and then they put it in slow-mo, and I'm just like, wow, how did he keep that ball from touching the ground? That was just that was insane. That was nuts. And, yeah, Cam Newton was making a lot of bad decisions, but he was making bad decisions because our defense was forcing him to make bad decisions. Now, granted, he missed a lot of open receivers or some open receivers, but, we were defending him well. I think a lot of times we were taking away his first and second option, and the clock in his head was just telling him, get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. And when he got rid of the ball, usually there was a 49er defender there to either knock it away or get the pick. So outstanding job by the crew. I think everyone on defense had a nice game. And we got to keep that mentality of defending the pass and getting in the passing lanes, just like we did against the Pats and the Rams, and have that same mentality going in next week to Seattle.
Definitely. And I can't emphasize that pick by Fred Warner enough. Watching him kind of fade back in that zone defense, and he just has that instinct to know exactly where to go, ends up with the ball. And it's, I don't have an update on Sherman because it's only Tuesday, but even without Sherman, these guys have been playing phenomenal. I mean, we do have a lot of depth this year, which is really nice.
Yeah, you got to say right now, Warner and Aaron Donald are probably the 2 front runners for defensive MVP. Donald didn't have much of a game against us, but he pretty much dominated last night. I don't know if you saw the Monday Night Football game. He had a really nice game. So him and Warner, I think those are the two guys right now. It's gonna be fun watching them play again in about 3 or 4 weeks. And Warner, I would say, is the one guy right now that I look forward to watching every Sunday. I mean, even more than any guy on offense. I want to see – my eyes are glued to what Warner is doing when I'm watching the game when the defense is out there for us.
And, Warner could probably get the overachiever every week. And this week it's probably tough for you to choose, but we need to get into that segment. It's time for the Ortiz Overachievers. So, what do you think?
I'm not only going to give you an overachiever, I'm going to give you some honorable mention overachievers. How's that sound?
There you go.
So my first honorable mention is going to be Hroniss Grasu. We talked about him earlier in Inside the Trenches, but this guy was on the practice squad to begin the year. And
so solid.
I had no inclination that he would eventually become the starter on the team. I think most people thought Ben Garland and eventually Weston Richburg would return from his injury and take over the center starting position. But Hroniss Grasu had a really nice game. I mean,
beautiful game.
To say he was thrown into the starting lineup and performed his ass off would be an understatement. He was able to in essence quarterback the offensive line and really had a really nice game. I think another guy off the top of my head, honorable mention, who had a really good game was Jamar Taylor. Of course, he is the nickelback who took over the position from K'Wan Williams after he got injured. He had 2 interceptions. He already has 2 more interceptions than Jimmy Ward has in the last 3 years. So not a slide on Jimmy, but Jamar Taylor had a really good game. I mean, he was being sent out on blitzes. He was guarding running backs and tight ends, and I even saw him cover on some wide receivers pretty well and get 2 picks. Granted, one of them was literally just tipped right towards him, but he still got to make a play, and he did. So he's the other honorable mention. But the overachiever of the week has to go to Jeff Wilson Jr. It's bittersweet. He had a fantastic game, the game of his life. I think he had about 6.6 yards per carry. Coming into this game, he was somewhere around 2 yards per carry, and he just exploded. Like, he was able to get in the end zone 3 times, like we said. He was running hard. He was dragging defenders. I think the best description of him after the game was by George Kittle. He described him as a psychopath and somebody that just goes to a dark place right before a game and just keeps that mentality the whole way through. Just, might be the nicest guy during their week, but when it comes Sunday, he turns it on and just, has that psychopath mentality. So Jeff Wilson Jr., you are the overachiever of the game.
Definitely. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of these high ankle sprains, man. We got to get out of that.
Can we just go one game without a high ankle sprain? If I hear high ankle sprain one more time on our team, I'm just going to flip, man. This is just, it's nuts. I can't remember a season ever where I've seen so many high ankle sprains and ACL tears. It's just, it's tough. It's brutal, but we're still in it. We have guys, we have backups that can play, obviously. And, you gotta be resilient. You gotta persevere through it.
Well, congratulations to Jeff Wilson Jr. for getting the Overachiever of the Week award. Overachiever. And hopefully we'll have Mostert back soon. But that brings us to our next topic, the keys to success in Seattle. And Lucas, I got some good news.
What's that?
We're going to be wearing those 1994 throwback white uniforms, which always puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, those are my favorite uniforms.
Because they seem to win with those on. So let's talk about the keys to this game.
If I remember correctly, we were 2-0. Were we 2-0 after wearing those last year?
I believe so, and they wanted to keep wearing them. So that's a good sign. But, this isn't going to be a cakewalk, even though, the Seattle Seahawks have had their issues. What do you see being the keys to the game here for the Niners to continue their domination?
we're going to have to score a lot of points. So although the Seattle Seahawks don't have the Legion of Boom anymore, their defense is actually pretty crappy these days. I think they gave up about 500 yards of offense last game. We're going to have to score a lot of points because they're going to score a lot of points. They got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, Russell Wilson has been on fire this year.
Number one being Russell Wilson, exactly. So he's going to make plays. He's probably going to get in the end zone 3 or 4 times, and it's going to be up to our offense to win this game. Now, I do think our defense will make some plays. We're still capable of getting sacks and interceptions and things like that, but I don't expect it to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be in the 30s. I think Jimmy is going to match Russell throw for throw, and I think we're going to have a lot of nice end-around sweep jet plays. Those kind of outside run plays that Kyle loves. We're just going to have to do it now with guys like Ayuk. Maybe Trent Taylor gets a look. Maybe even Kevin White gets a look. Who knows? Maybe we even see the return of Dante Pettis. I mean, I know we've been trying to trade him, but it looks like we're going to need to call him up to the starting lineup this week with all the injuries to our wide receivers.
Well, I thought they dropped him off at the Goodwill, so they'll have to go pick him up first.
Oh man, brutal! You are brutal.
But yeah, so what's your final score, Lucas, for the Niners versus the Seahawks?
I'm going to say 49ers 37, Seahawks 35.
Nice.
Last minute game-winning field goal by Robbie Solid Gold.
Nice.
That's my Solid Gold. Wins it as the time goes out with no time left.
Sounds good to me.
What about you, man? How do you think it's going to roll?
I think we're going to try to continue running the ball a lot, which will open up the pass. And I'm hoping to see Jimmy G throw it downfield a little bit against the Seahawks. And I'm thinking Ayuk continues his big games and has another really big one against the Seahawks. And look for Hasty to have 100 yards rushing and the Niners to win. The final score, Niners 38, Seahawks 21.
Nice. Well, I hope so. I hope it goes down your way. It'll be less stress on me.
Right on. As always, nice talking with you, Lucas. Have a great rest of your week, and go Niners.
Always a pleasure, brother. Go Niners.